This next game was donated to the channel by another great YouTube channel called Retro Rivals. I did a video on this game way back when I started this channel talking about how it was the rarest PS4 game you've never heard of. Thank you, Retro Rivals, for donating the game. It came with a gold star, meaning they picked it for me to play. So let's talk about Pineview Drive. This game was only released in certain Walmarts in certain provinces of Canada. It's a North American release, but it's a Walmart Canadian exclusive, and it is super hard to find down here. You rarely, if ever, even find copies on eBay. The Retro Rivals found a copy of it for me, knowing I was looking for it, and they mailed it down here to me. So I was happy to play it and review it for them. Thank you so much, guys. So where do I even get started with Pineview Drive? It's not very good. You know those times in games where you're just like wandering around trying to get an event to trigger? Like in an RPG where the guy won't unblock the gate until you talk to every person in the town, but you don't know to do that. You just like keep trying stuff till something happens. Or like you look up a walkthrough and it's like, just talk to this person at 10 p.m. and like the person never shows up, and you're like, oh, well, you didn't complete this other mission, you know, earlier in the game, and the walkthrough never referenced that because they happened to do it when they wrote the walkthrough. That sort of stuff, and you're just like, I don't know what to do and what's happening. Well, this is a whole game based around that. So you're exploring an old house where no one has survived more than 30 days. And I guess you used to live in the house, but you're basically there to investigate to find out what happened to your wife. And they never really fully explain what's going up. They just chalk it up to like bad crap happened there. So the gameplay in this game is, I don't know, it's a mixture of a walking simulator and an adventure game. You wander around in the dark and you look for batteries, flashlights, matches, and basically keys. And you're trying essentially to find all the keys to unlock tons of doors that are in this mansion. But in each given day, and like I said, you're trying to survive 30 days in this thing to beat the game. Only certain keys to certain doors are available on certain days. So you're like kind of aimlessly trying every door till you find the one that the key you happen to find works on. And you rinse and repeat this until you find a letter hidden inside the house, and that advances the day. Now, there's not really much of a sense of danger. There's not really any monsters tracking you, but there's this weird damage mechanic where the game will do a jump scare. And if you shake your controller or like rattle your analog stick when the game jump scares you, like it's like, gotcha, and that's how you take damage. And that's more suited to using a mouse, I think, than an analog stick. Because I'm using an analog stick, my hand's not like resting on the analog stick with enough pressure to move it. But if you're using a mouse, you know, and something scares you, you would definitely, you know, jitter the mouse and take damage. In principle, I like that idea, but there's a problem. Since this is a walking simulator, you're just always moving and looking around all the time. You're not standing still at any given point. So when the jump scare happens, you just automatically take damage because you're already moving when it happens. It's like someone in the dark is holding out a fist and you just walk into it, essentially. Like you don't even know it's there, it's gonna happen. And a lot of these keys you have to find can only be found by triggering like esoteric crap. So the gameplay loop is you start off in your bedroom, and like I would always just run down the stairs and just go on the first door on the left and just like make loops going into every room till I found one where like there was a key or something, and then I would start back over and check every door that was still locked. But some of the freaking events won't happen till a certain time period. So you get up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you go downstairs, you go through the first like, you know, 25 rooms, nothing happens. And then you just wander around, nothing ever happens, never happens. You make the whole loop. And then you go back in the first room you went into originally, and there's a key there. And you're like, why the crap? Did I miss it the first time? No, see, the event doesn't happen until 1 a.m. in the morning. And you happen to go into that room at like 7 p.m. and the event hadn't happened yet. So not only are you just wandering aimlessly, you have to like double check every room at different time periods, and that's super freaking irritating. At points I got stuck and I looked up a walkthrough and it's like, go out in the backyard and stand by this scarecrow until, you know, something happens, and you'd stand there like 10 minutes and nothing would happen. And it's like, it should trigger at like 2 a.m. and 2 a.m. would pass and nothing would happen. Oh, it didn't happen because you have to like be walking out of the back door of the house between 12 and 2 a.m. And then that will cause a trigger that will cause the scarecrow to then start his countdown to do his thing. But this is not explained anywhere, right? So you're just walking around hoping crap happens. But the thing I hate more than that about this game is that this game runs at one of the choppiest frame rates I have ever seen. I'm talking between 8 and 15 frames per second, and it gives me motion sickness. I've only gotten motion sickness like 3 times in my entire life, and one of them is from playing this game. And it's not a VR game, it's just a normal game. So my suggestion is to play this game in the dark with the brightness turned up all the way and lower the camera sensitivity all the way down. That made it manageable, but I could still only play it in like little 20-minute increments, which ended up being a big problem for the day 30, which completely changes the gameplay. It takes place in a different location with different mechanics, and it's actually very tense and very stressful. I feel like if the rest of the game had been like the last day of the game, it would have been much better and way better received. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. And I'd be willing to put up with all this stuff if the story was great, but really the story isn't that great. It's just like you find the piece of paper and the dude reads it and he's like, on this day we sat by the beach and looked at the ships rolling in. It was a magical day and I'll never forget it. And it's like, bum bum, day 17. And you get up and like wander around again, and you get to the end of that day and you read the letter and it's like, on this day I went into town and I bought my wife flowers. I placed them on the dining room table and she told me she loved me. Bum bum, day 18. And you're like, okay, cool. Happy about that. And at the end there's supposed to be some big twist reveal, but there's not. I mean, you can extrapolate what you think was going on and make it, you know, turn out any way you want. Were you the killer? Was your wife the killer? Did she kill herself? Did you or did you not have a kid? Did you or did you not live in the house? It's just so ambiguous, there's no way to know. Bad story, bad gameplay mechanics, bad performance that physically makes me ill. Pineview Drive is a truly god-awful, terrible, but very expensive PlayStation 4 game. How good was it? It's a freaking 3 out of 10. It is awful. It is actually painful to play. I would advise you, if you're looking for it, it's not worth it. Thank you, Retro Rivals, for sending it to me. I loved the experience, and they played it along with me. I don't know what their experience was with the game. I don't imagine it was great.